Welcome, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. I am Andrea Diniz da Silva. I work for the National School of Statistical Science of the Brazilian Institute of Geography and Statistics in Brazil. And I am also leading the UN Regional Hub for Big Data and Data Science in Latin America and the Caribbean. It's really a pleasure to be here to welcome you at the third and last webinar. This webinar is part of a series of webinars. The series named The Road to Punta del Este Festival de Datos. That's an event that will happen in Uruguay in November, early November, starting on 3rd November with the Datathon, UN Datathon, and then going to Punta del Este for the festival by itself. We have had two wonderful webinars already, as this one is the third. We had the first one that was on satellite imagery for statistical production. We had the pleasure to listen to Mexico, INERI, Dani, Colombia. In the second one, we spoke about web scraping for prices, for price index. We had the pleasure to listen to Brazil, Chile, and Uruguay. Those webinars were recorded and they are available. The recordings are available on the website of the UN Regional Hub and also to the Knowledge Transfer Network website. So they are available. You can go and visit that and to watch the webinar. Today, we have a webinar on the use of data science for statistical production. Those webinars were organized by UN Regional Hub and the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development, Sustainable Development Data, and with the support of CEPAL via Knowledge Transfer Network. So thank you very much. Thank you, Andrea, to be here with us since the first webinar. Always in our partnership, but especially today, that's the last webinar. So thank you very much. I will pass the floor to Ronald Johnson, that is Assistant Director of the United Nations Statistics Division. He will be the moderator of the webinar. Not taking that much time by now, Ronald, so I pass you the floor just to introduce the speakers and the talk of the day. Thank you very much, everyone, for the interest. Thank you, Ronald. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea, for the introduction. I'm Ronald Jensen. I'm working for the United Nations Statistics Division in New York. I'm leading a team on data innovation and capacity management. We support internationally the Committee of Experts on Big Data and Data Science for Official Statistics. And within that context, we have a few regional hubs for big data. So there is in Dubai, Rwanda, in China, soon in Indonesia, and here we have in Rio de Janeiro, we have a regional hub for Latin America and the Caribbean. And so very happy that we will have this webinar and hear about a few examples of big data being used in official statistics. I mentioned this context also because what we like to do at the international level is to see that new and experimental methods will be tested and will be tried, but at some point also we'll try to see if we can share it not only as good practices for other officers to do, but eventually also if it can be added into the international methodology to be used by statistical officers. So there is also that aspect that whatever we show here is not just a pilot, not just experimental, but in the end it is also a part of building the statistical system globally. So I'm very happy to introduce two presentations. The first one will be from Chismer Jimenez Mena, I hope I speak this out correctly, from the Dominican Republic, and it will be about use of administrative records and big data in the production of official statistics in the Dominican Republic. Chismer is Director of Regulations and Methodologies of the National Statistics Office of the Dominican Republic, of ONE. She's an economist, graduated from the Autonomous University of Santo Domingo with a master's degree in management administration and studies in statistics. She's a specialist in statistical planning, production of environmental statistics, and statistical use of administrative records. She has held positions such as Head of Environmental Statistics at ONE, Head of Statistics at the Ministry of Public Works, and of Public Works and Communication, and as a specialist of the National Statistical System at ONE. With that, I will give the floor to Chismer for the presentation. Please go ahead. For about 15 minutes. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So, good morning again. My name is Crismary Jimenez. I'm from the National Statistics Office from Dominican Republic. The topic that we're going to be introducing today is the use of administrative records and big data towards the production of official statistics in the Dominican Republic. So first of all, let's start saying or explaining you how we see the production of statistics and information. And basically, we're responding to the demand of information that comes from users, the main users, and keeping in mind that the main user is the government through the different public policies that they use. So we're focusing more on responding to the demand of official information through the planning instruments at national level, which are the 2030 National Development Strategy, the Sustainable Development Targets, the Montevideo Process, and all of this to work on the operation on the medium term. We want to establish the National Development Plan of our country. And as legal mandate, we have the Statistical National Plan that needs to be an instrument that can help to improve the production of statistics and to guarantee the statistic production for the National Pluriannual Plan of the public sector. So we have in total 945 indicators associated to the demand of information, statistical information. When we see the feasibility of measurement of these indicators, 55% is feasibility 1, 19% feasibility 2, and 26% feasibility 3. So here it's good to highlight something quite important, which is that we can measure 36% of those indicators using administrative records. So 55% and 19%, and the 36% are measured with administrative records. And we have determined that 26% that earn in feasibility 3, 40% can be responded through administrative records that are being known in the statistical national system, but are not being used by the statistical offices. So how is it that we are using those administrative records to produce official statistics? So first of all, to highlight that we have a total of 964 statistical operations in the statistical national system. And of those 964, 669 use as a source administrative records. More than 50% of the statistical production at official level from Dominican Republic are based on the use of administrative records. So the remaining other type of sources, such as surveys, census, and non-traditional sources. To determine then the use of the statistics from the statistical record, we have designed methodology, and part starts with the identification of demand, stakeholders, and potential sources. First, we need to analyze the demand indicators and exploring at the same time a possible potential source that can give an answer. And this is carried out studying the institutional legal framework and the operational planning. So mainly checking which is the vision and strategical institutional framework that here it's been established as a law that should respond to the legal institutional framework. And seeing this, we're able to identify possible source that could be used with statistical source methods. Then we characterize these administrative records using the administrative records for the use of a statistic. We analyze the different data sources or analysis where we can complete the different variables in the cases of those variables.
El análisis de las bases de datos
of the different databases and that characterization of administrative records that we carry out. We then determine the statistical use of those records. We analyze 4 different indicators, which are relevance, usefulness, coherence, and accessibility. And from here, we obtain some other results in a range of statistical use that can tell us how we can use those administrative records. And then in some cases, we carry out the improvement plans according to the results obtained from those assessments. So the analysis for the use of the statistics, as was being said before, is carried out regarding the questions that are in the questionnaire of characterization, and we assess then with the tool that we use, of course, after we answer these questions, and we check the different quality attributes and the weight that we give to each answer in such a way that for those 4 attributes, we see that each attribute, according to its definition, we can see the criteria that we are including in this way and the result that are obtained in regards to the information given by our institutions or administrative sources. For coherence, we mainly see that the administrative record is using nomenclature classifications, and we need to have supporting documents that can define variables and categories. And for accessibility, the access to microdata, and for sure that document that is supporting the information can be also accessible. After that, we determine the range of a statistical use, and what we have is like a street light that tells us that if the use of those records are between 0% and 39%, those require urgent improvements, and we suggest not to use it for the production of statistics. Whenever we have it between 40% and 69%, that means that it does require improvements, and here what we will be having from the production of statistics are statistics that are experimental, that at that time that they start to be improved and sources are improved and methods are improved, then they can be taken to official statistics after the analysis of the quality of such sources. And ready to be used, it's between 70% and 100%. We have determined that whenever it is between this range and these values, it is mainly because we still need more documents from the processes and access to the market data. So if we say that they need to improve these topics, then we carry out the improvement plan that we need to carry out. Then after the recommendations that are given per each quality attribute of what is being required to be improved, and when the administrative record is not relevant, then it's not being assessed. Why? Because it's not needed to be assessed. Here we can see where we can obtain such statistics through the ONE website. And here we see statistical and data. We have tabs, and we see the statistical production based on administrative management surveys. And on those charts, we highlight which are the records and which are surveys. A specific case would be of official statistics would be, and based on administrative records, are environmental statistics. Here, we have the analysis of its use. We are able to obtain the statistical information and extreme events and disasters, which are new series that we have uploaded this year in regards to the impact of events and the occurrence of those events. And this information, it's available starting with the use of administrative records. In the case of the use of big data for the production of official statistics, Dominican Republic is starting this process of using big data to generate official statistics. And here, especially recognizing the importance that these sources, non-traditional sources, have for the strengthening of statistics, we have been working on the incorporation of these sources in the production of statistics, mainly from environmental statistics. In the same manner as the previous process, it does follow some steps, which are the planning, preparation of what we want to capture, and then the response of the demand that should satisfy this statistical operation. We see the obtention of information using non-traditional sources, designing and verifying what type of instruments are needed and which would be the methodology to be used, review and treatment of data, and also the production and dissemination of experimental statistics. Here, something quite important to mention is that we are giving training and we have been learning a lot to be able to guarantee the use of big data and also data science. Some of the different trainings that we have carried out at the National Statistics Office are the ones that I show here in this slide. And here I want to highlight the collaboration we have received from the Statistical Division of the CEPAL, which has been enabling the use of big data through training and also through the use of these non-traditional sources to have the indicators ready. And here, again, this slide shows which are the indicators that we have from big data. We have 4. The one that has to do with coverage of the soil, index of vegetation in protected areas, remaining of water bodies through time, and another exercise that we have been carrying out that has to do with solid waste on the coastline through images, through satellite images. And here I would like to show you what we are doing in regards to these methods. And with satellite images at the coast of the Dominican Republic, where we have been able to see higher presence of waste, solid waste, we use drones and then we verify the information given, what we call opto pictures. And this is a polygon that we can capture with the drone, and we can determine then the density of this polygon. And this can allow us then to obtain information in regards to solid waste that are present in the coast. Something quite important to highlight is that this methodology has a specific reach that goes inside the coast. We also can determine before the algae comes to the coast, we can see the concentration. The concentration will be arriving to the coast from the ocean to the Dominican Republic coast. And this Sargasso, it's the one that's been determined. So we have another problem, and also in other Caribbean islands are having regards to the arrival of this Sargasso to our coast. And here we see that because this is a problem that we're having and we are not having measures to fix this problem, we're trying to do something. Since we do not have much information and with the administrative records in a traditional way, we're able to design another methodology to capture information using images from the satellite. We work with satellite images where we were able to see the density of Sargasso on the coast, and then we're able to design we were to assign measurement, how many tons are coming in, and then we were able to use the drones with satellite images. And we have many problems with this solid waste as well, such as plastic waste. So that's why we're also including Sargasso and solid waste in this type of measurement. Whenever we have new methodologies, then we always have challenges as well. So this is not the exception. The development of these statistics, they do have some technical challenges, such as the training needed for the process of this information that it's received, and also the other confidentiality challenges regarding license terms of use under the ones, those that are being kept, and the licenses and terms that the systems are having, in some cases, can be the free software as well. Other type of experience we have as web scrapping. This exercise was started in 2020, and we were able to learn a lot from this. And we also had good experiences, especially we were able to identify opportunities in the use of data. First, we're able to connect as an ecosystem of the institutions where we have the possibility of exchange of information, generation of information in an automated matter way without, regarding the environmental topic, there's no interest in regards to these initiatives. There's a political will, but in the practice, we do not see it. And the institutions require to work hard in regards to having the information needed for the transfer of this knowledge to our National Statistics Office. We always end our talks saying that with good data, we carry out good policies. Thank you very much.
A lot of information in a very short period of time. Thank you. I have a few questions just for some clarification, and yeah. So I'll give some of them to you, in no really particular order. I'm interested to know from, for instance, the satellite data which ONE is using. If you so what is your source? Is it commercial? Is it open satellite data? So for your kind of application, do you need very high resolution data? So if you could give a little bit more context on that. And then in addition to this, you indicated that you do use also some drones. Is that drones that ONE has, or do you hire this from a private company? And in general, who you're partnering with in the not only the acquisition of satellite data, but the processing of satellite data, and also just the additional expert knowledge. If you could give a little bit, how many players, how many institutes are involved when you do the analysis? Chris, please go ahead.
Yes. Yes, sure. Yes. In regards to satellite images, that's something that we're able to work with from the NASA satellite images. Those are free. There's a website that you can go to, and those are free. And the second question, the drone, we have drones in our office, in our ONE, but nevertheless, for this exercise, we needed to have a specific type of drone. So we're using drones from an institution that it's like a sibling of the ONE, which is the beneficiary single office. They're lending us the drone. In regards to the experts, we have a Department of Geostatistics, and with them, we are analyzing those images. This exercise is being carried out from the Department of Environmental Statistics. It has about 7 individuals and that are expert in statistics, only 2, plus the geostatistical experts. And here we have about 15, I think, or more than 15 that are specialized in this topic.
Okay, thank you for that. Do you, because in this new era of working with non-traditional data, does your institute also get agreements with private sector or with research institutes? Because what I hear is that the what you just explained was all more at government level, right, or at internal level of Dominican Republic. But do you also have partnership agreements with private sector, research institutes, or academia to further develop that kind of work? Because you did mention in your talk that there was like a license terms of use, so that might have been some of the private sector technology that you use. Maybe you could give a little bit more background on that.
Yes, well, with the private sector, we have no agreement in this time. We are working on the creation of data systems with the academia. We work with the academia because they do participate with us in different activities where we invite them and they share with us their statistical needs. For example, the Statistical National Plan. But currently, we're working on an agreement within the main institutions of the Dominican Republic to create one only ecosystem with the academia and data. We have other agreements with some type of associations of the private sector, but we have not yet started to work with them with data regarding non-traditional sources. We're just trying to help them with their information needs, and that is an answer that we offer to them with our administrative records.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Chris Mayer, for this information. We might come back to you at the end of the webinar, maybe also specifically to development of skills, but that might be a general question. So I want to go to our second presentation, which is by Maria Teresa Chica and Andres Ramirez. And that is on the use of mobile devices for cartographic updating, applying technology to capture geographic information with open source tools and satellite images. Maria Teresa is Director of Information Technology and Computer Connectivity and a coordinator of capture and database processing systems for surveys and censuses in INE, Paraguay. She holds a master's degree in analysis and visualization of big data, and from the University of La Rioja in Spain. She has a bachelor's degree in computer systems analysis from the National University, and a degree in database administration from the Okinawa University in Japan. Also with Maria Teresa, there is Andres Ramirez Intran. He is currently Director of Statistical Geoinformation and Data Infrastructure at INE Paraguay. He graduated in Statistical Mathematics from the Faculty of Exact and Natural Sciences. He has taken courses and seminars abroad, for instance, in sampling in Spain, in historical cartography in the US, demographic analysis in Chile, and digital cartography, remote sensing, and geographic information systems in Mexico. So we'll get to Andres later. At this point, we'll turn to Maria Teresa. Again, I would like everyone to, if you have questions, please put the questions in the chat, and we will come back to that later on. Maria Teresa, please, the floor is yours.
Muchas gracias. Here and to share what we're doing from our office called INET in Paraguay. As you have heard before, I'm the Director of Technology of our Statistical National Institute. And we're going to be showing you the use of mobile devices for the update of cartographic information using open source tools, free open source tools, and the use of satellite images. So we're going to be touching these three topics. On one hand, the use of satellite images to organize national work on the side of Andres Ramirez, and the other two topics, which are the applications to be used and that were developed with open source software to work in the field, to have supervisors working in the field, and to be used for cartographic information, and the platform that was developed for the monitoring activity of the work carried out by those technicians. The first platform that was developed in the field includes two things: those supervisor applications and cartographic technicians applications. The second one is the one that I had mentioned before, that has to do with the monitoring activity or quality control that was carried out for the control of our central office workers. So the first step includes the field of supervisor apps, which are the ones in charge of receiving the information from the sectors that were assigned or allocated in the cloud, and then later on they can share them with the other teams that are working in the field. And so for this development, they want to use free software, which is called Java, with Apache Netflix. And an important quality here is that the working batch, it's partitioned. That means that we do not work in one unified base. What we do, that we use sections or shape files, cartographic shape files, so in such a way that is having a key and it's been splitted. And at that time of carrying out the field work, each supervisor, it's logging into the system and they can use its code and can download the batch, the working batch from the cloud. So that's been preset before time. The way they work is to facilitate their work because the files are very light. Even though they're encrypted, they are not heavy to be sent to the cloud. And besides, the supervisor does not need to be connected to internet the whole time. So they have field work, let's say during a week, they downloaded their work batch for their team, and then they will to work during the whole week, and they were able to distribute from their device. The teams are the supervisor with one cloud, with one notebook, sorry, and the other colleagues with PDF files. Once the supervisors complete their field work, they can share it, and then when they finalize those their work, the cartographic technicians are end their work. The work is being sent to the supervisor again, so the supervisor can send the work to the cloud, to the central office. That is being done with this system developed in Java, which is open source. On the other hand, the apps being used by those technicians, from their own mobile device, they get connected to the supervisor device using different methods. On the screen, we can see, for example, that they can do it through the memory stick, as they call USB, or with a cable, notebook, Bluetooth, or using an FTP server without the need of using a cable, but allowing the notebook of the supervisor to become the server. The PDAs of the cartographic technicians can get connected to the central, which would be the supervisor, using the FTP server. This type of connections are making their fieldwork much easier because we are not subject to the availability of the internet. We do know that this is a limitation in some countries and also in our country. We do not always have internet connection and the work cannot stop. So what was being done was that once that they were able to connect themselves to Wi-Fi, they were able to download the working batch. They took them to the field and they went back to be distributed without the need of getting connected to Wi-Fi for this field work. The development of this app was carried out through CISPRO. The use was developed by the Census Bureau of the INE, and each survey and census and any type of system that will be developed to have field work, it's being developed in this app. It's very user-friendly. It's not very heavy. It allows multiple processes. It's very consistent, allows validation. It allows double load and also analysis of results. It also allows, well, once we can also use the results using different formats. The advantage of the use of this software is that it's free and it has constant updates. It allows to send and receive files in a very light format. As you know, that is a problem whenever we send and receive data from the cloud. Under the same system, we had, once we received those work batches, we could open the cartographic information using an open field, which is Q field, the Q field, but for PDA only. And we could carry out the work in the field by our technicians. They could update the APP, or they could send the projects once they were completed. The people that carry out this work, once they downloaded the information, they could open this Q field and they could start working, showing houses, shops. They could also show different new blocks and roads and so on. That information that is to have this cartographic update. So the two software that is being used is CPRO and QField that are being worked together and without a problem. As was being said before, this screen shows how we open the app in our mobile device, the way that it's being presented. As you can see here, each work batch, it's connected to a unique code in such a way that this information is being downloaded from the cloud. The central office knows exactly where is this in order to get this in the public base. Once we open, we can see the roads, the blocks, the dots using background image. This is the way that we see the picture in the app. And here we can update information using different variables that are included in the software. The second app that is being used in our central office is the platform for monitoring. This platform is being used to have technicians that are working with quality control can download information from the cloud, and they can control this information as it was done before. They log in, they have different databases with the coordinator. They log in, department, the code of the team. Then they download the information. You can see here on the right-hand side, the information, it's zipped, and each information that it's being uploaded, it's being saved according to the date and the hour. That's great, because if they do not lose the PDA or it's been destroyed or whatever happens, they can have it again. They can have this information again because it's in the cloud and it's been saved using the date and the hour. When you open the zip, then you can use the Q feeds to open the project, and then you can verify the field work carried out. Now I'll give the floor to my colleague, Andres Ramirez, which will continue with this. He will continue with the remaining part of my presentation. Thank you, Maria Teresa. Good morning again. Thanks again for inviting me to talk here. First of all, I would like to mention the cartographic update process that we have carried out
el operativo Censo Nacional
for the National Census Housing and Inhabitants operation of 2022. I would like to show you how we were able to develop the different field works. We had an organizational structure, a coordinator, general coordinator from the cartographic office, another fieldwork team, coordination of the cartographic update, and then another coordination of segmentation and printing of cartographic blueprints, that in the office. And also the fieldwork coordination, we had coordinators per department in the country, and also at the same time a group of control coordination in regards to data quality. They also had supervisor regarding data quality and field coordinators at each department. They also had supervisors and cartographic technicians. They also had an administrative assistant that helped them out and another department assistant. On in regards to the process regarding organizing the cartographic database, we also were able to use satellite images of high resolution of 50 centimeters as support for the field work. Besides satellite images, our institution was able to buy other type of cartographic products, which are the fingerprints of verifications, starting interpretation, image interpretation using algorithms. This information can help us a lot to approach our field operation, to be able to identify areas that have high density, and we're able to identify the amount of assets needed to send people there. Then, after the satellite images and this verification footprints, we're able to generate dots that represent houses and shops and industry services or references such as schools, health centers, other type of sport facilities. That information is registered in our field work operation. This was a picture taken from our pre-census the field work carried out, and we were able to define the places where supervisors could go. The supervisor, together with their cartographic technicians. In regards to the amount of information available, we were able to classify this area, starting with the information that we had from previous operations, plus satellite images that we were able to obtain. So here we were able to have polygons of the different working areas for each group. Now, here we can see the different processes regarding data quality. The cartographic technician needed to use, for example, information from a block, starting from the northeast corner, going and down and covering the whole block. They should cover each block until they were to cover each house. Then here we see a picture of how people were working when they were capturing information. They went house by house at each block, and they had direct interviews with a respondent from each home. It was needed when we didn't find anyone at home. Then we also used other type of respondents from such as neighbors. So this information was registered in a special category when the data was acquired using the neighbor. Also to mention that the information captured in the field work was under quality control as well at our office. A group of technicians that are specialized were able to analyze, were able to assess the quality of the information that was provided, and also keeping a very fluent communication with the working team at the field to adjust problems that they could encounter. This was our main challenge. This is our main territory, about 460 square kilometers. We had some areas with a lot of density and other sites that are more scattered, and the access was quite complicated because of some places the owner was not available, they didn't open the door. This is the work carried out in the field. Here we see yellow dots that represent each of the houses that we were able to go to for the survey. We were able to get 2,500,000 houses. We see a zoom in municipality. Here we see this spatial distribution of each of the houses. And besides the georeferencing of these houses, we can also see information, updated information from the roads, if those are paved or not, or if they are just dirt roads or whatever. So we are able to get information from the roads, and that's very valid for our census. In the same manner, we see here how is the distribution of the houses at the rural area. Along the road, we see different houses, and we also have the names of the different rural neighborhoods. And well, I will allow Maria Teresa to complete this slide with the conclusions. Okay, thanks again, Andres. As conclusion, we were able to see that with the use of these tools, we can work in small partitioned batches, achieving the sending and reception of field work carried out. That same information was encrypted to the cloud, and then it was downloaded at the central office, where then was placed in one only database, the geographic database that was obtained. It's organized according to shapefile sectors that are making part of those, without the need of having a database united at the time of working in the field. And this is showing that we are not having so many problems and lack of connectivity, and not having the risk of losing the index at the database. So this type of work, it's helping us in order to not lose work field information. And lastly, if there are mistakes or errors during the verification of the sector that was worked, it's easy to allocate this to another team to recover information, and also it's easy to identify. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Maria Teresa and Andres, for this very, very interesting, the general global picture of what you are presenting here. This was all the cartographic work that you were doing was in preparation of the population and housing census, or it was actually an integral part of when the population and housing census was done. So just to see if it was done before the census, or it was done together with the census. So I did not really fully understand that. So that's just a general question, if you could explain. And then on the one question is maybe more for Andres on the technical side, is like, how did you use the satellite images? Because you do a lot of the work on the ground. So you take a lot of information directly from visiting the buildings, the streets, and so forth. What was the function of the satellite images? So it is to verify the information that you had on the ground. It was for preparation of the information on the ground. And did you also use from the wealth of information that you had received through this exercise, if you were training the models from the satellite images to be able to use it elsewhere? I was just wondering how you would use that now or in the future. So Maria Teresa, first to you, maybe.
Yes, in regards to your question, yes, we did this before the census. So the idea was to know how is the confirmation of our national territory, to be able to segment the territory, because our census was one day census. We stopped the whole country during one day. And so we needed to have the segmentation carried out beforehand to allocate the group of workers, a specific sector. And that's why we did this before the census. And this was carried out in record time. So we're able to use the information and technological tools that we had on our hands to accelerate the process. And then we were able to capture information from houses and from the whole national territory. And at the same time, we're able to update cartographic information of different roads and blocks and so on, because every 10 years we carry out the census, and this was a good opportunity to update our cartographic information. Andres, can you please answer? I think I did answer your question. And this same cartographic information can be used as the base for other type of activities to be carried out. For example, house surveys, for other type of activities that are carried out in our institution. Andres, please go ahead. Yes, as you're saying, Maria Teresa, yes, at national level, activity was carried out a little bit beforehand. We have two activities, one to obtain cartographic information and then the census per se. So, well, how is it that we use these satellite images? So the satellite images that we were to obtain are of high spatial resolution, and we're using them on critical areas, mainly on the more dense areas. And we have been able to use the satellite images. We use those satellite images before the cartographic update, and we're able to manage the images. We did the corresponding cuts for the polygons to be studied, and we're able to include our PDA, included in our PDA. The cartographic team, the technician, had the information in his own mobile device. He had the satellite images already in his device, plus the information of the vectors that we had in our institution. It's the most dense parts of the country has the spatial satellite images, high resolution satellite images. In the remaining areas, we also use satellite images.
Okay, thank you very much. I mostly understood it, but I think at the end there was an issue with the audio of the translator. So thank you for that. But I understand that the satellite data were used first to prepare the cartographic exercise, and then the cartographic exercise is used to prepare the census. So I think that's the sequence. But I go to Andrea, and she's going to help. She's going to help with the questions in the chat.
No, yeah. No. That is a question, but I have a question that's myself questions. It's just because it's complementary to the question you made. I saw you did really a huge job to update the cartography. My question is if you have a project to have it in a continuous basis, because we can't have updated cartography once a decade. If you have a plans project to have it updated continuously from now on.
So that's a question to Maria Teresa, maybe. Yeah, please go
Maria
ahead.
Teresa. Yeah, sí.
Maria Teresa, please go ahead.
Yes, the idea is that we should update our cartographic information every year. So we cannot do it in the whole country, but the idea is to use satellite images for such activity in order to update the information. So let's say that Landsat or images that are open source can be used by our office until we have a new, let's say, a new activity that it's another census, and maybe we can need an update. But anyway, as we were saying, we have another economic census coming soon, And maybe this same cartographic information can be used for this economic census. And maybe some other updates can be carried out, and we will need to check that later on. But anyway, and the other idea or development that we're carrying out with our team is the geostatistical portal that we would like to launch it very soon using the census information and also to include information from the environment and other type of data that we have within our national territory that can be included there. Thank you. That's our idea.
Thank you very much, Maria Teresa. If you allow me, Andrea, I will pick up the one question that I see here in the chat. And instead of me trying to speak Spanish, I don't know, Andres, if you saw the question in the chat, which is about the limitations of polygons, I think, in the rural areas. Please, Andres, if you saw the question.
Sí, efectivamente.
Yes, I can read it. And it says that within the procedure carried out to organize our operation for the census, we define different geographic levels of the country at department level, districts level, municipality level, and also inside our office, we define it as census areas and rural areas. The rural areas and also urban areas, we do have polygons. We use polygons to define the areas. So we have a subdivision of the district with these polygons. We have rural sites, and we also have the urban sites that we call neighborhoods. We call them neighborhoods.
Thank you for that clarification. We're getting close to the end, so I don't know if I should be very strict on this, Andrea, or if we.
As you want, as you wish. Is there anyone who want to make a question or comment? It's just to raise your hand. We can count it to 5, and if nobody goes to the raising hand, do you share the link for download the satellite images? It's a question for you, probably. Open source. That's a question for you, Maria Teresa, on the chat.
No. Aclaro
I would like to clarify something else. Those satellite images that we are using for the pre-census are not open source, are from MAXA. And also the digital footprints, those were bought later on when the census was carried out for cartographic update. We were trying to use satellite images from free sources. Why? Because those satellite images are very expensive from MaxSat, and they had a cost, but they were used for us to planify because we had only 5 months for our work and we needed to work fast. So that's why we were to buy this type of images. But no, that's we were paying for those. The ones that we use for those activities were paid.
Thank you. No, thank you, Maria Teresa. Yeah, there are open source satellite data available. So Landsat was mentioned. You have Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2. So there you could go to the various websites of like Copernicus, of ESA, or maybe there's some also data available from NASA. So you could, for those interested, could go to those sites to see what is available. Andres, did you want to come in? Or?
Well, just to close, but
okay. No, yeah. Andres, not Andrea, Andres.
Sorry. Go ahead, Andres.
Al respecto, quiero.
Yes.
Al respecto, quiero mencionar.
Yes, I would like to say something else just to close. For some specific activities, we were able to use free open source satellites images, Landsat, Sentinel. Yes, just answer the question being asked about what we were using to build indicators. We're in this process, but specifically for building cartographic database for the census, we used those satellite images that we bought, as was said before by Maria Teresa, and we're able to use other satellite images that were free, open source, to see more or less our growth in some places of our country. So we did both.
Thank you. But thank you for that. I think there are still more questions, but we will stop at this point. And one particular thing I might come back to Maria Teresa and Andres on a separate note is that I saw that you also also collected information on the conditions of the roads when you did the cartographic analysis, and that's interesting for SDG 911. So on another occasion we'll talk about that, how that could be used. At this point, I really want to thank both Chris Mary from Dominican Republic, and then Maria Teresa and Andres. What we see is that a lot of possibilities are there and they are happening. I'm very happy to see that satellite data is being used by the statistical offices, both in Dominican Republic, it's ONE, and in Paraguay, it's INE, who are using satellite information in a very for their important work that they do. So I think this is a sort of an invitation to all the other statistical officers who are maybe not engaged as much yet with using these new data sources to see what's happening and how collaboration can take place. And that's also why we have the regional hub in Brazil, to bring people together and work on these methods, because it's not, and we didn't really discuss that, it's not only the technology, we have to have the skills and the training and the human resources to be able to do this. And yes, that's something that I know that the regional hub in Brazil is very eager to promote, to build capacity in the various countries in the region. So I look forward how this work continues in Latin America and the Caribbean. I'm very glad of the work that has already been done. So thank you very much for everyone. I hope you found it interesting. And do I give the last word back to you, Andrea, or do I just say goodbye to everyone?
Let's keep the last word to invite everybody to Festival de Dados in Uruguay.
Yes.
It's Road to Festival de Dados in Datatom.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one thing I also wanted to mention. Yes, so Festival de Datos will take place from 7 to 9 November in Punta del Este, Uruguay. We also will do a few events in Montevideo just before, but the Festival de Datos, we invite everyone. There is a lot of discussion there on the use of alternative data sources, use of data science, new skills, and whoever can come to Uruguay. I hope. Well, I will not be there, but I hope Andrea will see you there in Uruguay. Thank you very much, and have a very good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ronald.
Thank you very much. See you.
Gracias
Bye-bye.
por la invitación. Hasta luego.
Bye-bye.